Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. Happy Tuesday. Let's start with our good morning song. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright shining faces, and this is the way we start our new day. Let's take a moment before I share something with you to just settle in. Sometimes when we sit down to watch a video or to work on something, it's good to just clear our minds of other things we're thinking about and just settle in the present moment. So let's take a few deep breaths. And one more. And just settle into our space here together. Well, this morning I'm excited because I get to share something that's been popping up in the yard that I'm very excited about. Some people think that this plant is a weed and they don't like it. And weeds are usually plants that grow all over the place. They aren't picky about where they grow. They can grow all over your yard. And so some people don't like this plant because it can grow all over the place. And they don't want it everywhere. But I think it's a very beautiful plant. It's also a plant that a lot of animals like to eat. And it is food for bees, especially at the very start of spring. And I think that's pretty important. I wonder if you've guessed what it is already. Ready for me to show you? It's a dandelion. Here I have a dandelion inside a jar, and I've picked a seed head also. And I'll set this right here for you guys to look at while I read about the dandelion. The dandelion is a very common wildflower. Some people think that it resembles the three celestial bodies of the sun, the moon, and the stars. The yellow flower looks like the sun, the seed head looks like the moon, and the seeds coming off the seed heads are like the stars. Now, this part, before I read about it, I'm going to show it to you. I put this one in water so we could see it clearly. But this is the whole dandelion plant. And down here is the taproot. All plants have roots, but dandelions have a taproot that can grow really big and is hard to get out of the ground. You'll notice that this is a pretty small dandelion plant, and this taproot is relatively small. I picked another dandelion, and the taproot was so strong I couldn't rip it out of the ground and could only get pieces. So that's the part we're going to talk about next, the taproot, which grows straight down into the soil. Smaller roots grow out of the taproot's sides, and even if the dandelion is snipped all the way down to the ground by a lawnmower or a hungry rabbit, or even if you just pick one, it can completely regrow from the taproot. So if just this taproot is left underneath the ground and there's no more plant, this taproot can help grow a whole new dandelion plant. That's how strong it is. All right, the next part of the dandelion are the dandelion leaves. And the dandelion leaves have jagged edges. And the name dandelion actually comes from these leaves because in French, Dandelion means lion's tooth. And they named the dandelion after that because the leaves reminded people of lion's teeth, lion's sharp teeth. The leaves grow from the very bottom of the dandelion up from the stem, and they appear before the flowers. So you'll see those first coming out before the flowers come out. And if you have dandelions that are clean, that haven't been sprayed with any kind of pesticides that people might spray on them out in parks, dandelion leaves are actually a good source of food. You might be able to find them at your grocery store and eat them in a salad. All right, the next part is the stem. So we'll take a look at this stem. The dandelion stem is hollow, which means that you can see through it. There's nothing in the middle. It is hollow on the inside. And water and minerals from the soil travel up through the stem, and the stem grows and lifts the dandelion flower up to the sun. A large dandelion plant can grow up to 20 dandelion stems. I have a plant that I picked out of the ground, trying to get its taproot. You can see it has lots of leaves, and let's see how many stems this one has. Here's 1 stem, 2 stems, 3 stems, here's a little one, 4 stems, and 5 stems. So this one plant has 5 stems, and they can grow 20 or more. That's a lot of stems. That would be a big dandelion plant. All right, the next part is the bud. So on this plant that I have, you can see, I'll bring it up close, the bud. So this bud has not opened up yet. There's an even littler one over here, which you can see. And the bud is where the flower comes out of. You can see the very top is kind of yellowish. That's where the flower will open up from. And also, dandelions open up on a sunny day, so I actually had to wait to get these dandelions until the sun came out this morning, because before that they close up like this for the nighttime. So a dandelion bud can also be a flower that is just closed up for the night, or because it was a dark and rainy day. And at the very end of its life cycle, the dandelion bud will close up for the last time, and then when it opens again, it will be the seed head. So I noticed inside this one, you're starting to get some of those fluffy seeds inside instead of a dandelion flower. All right, but the next part is the dandelion flower. And the dandelion flower head is actually made of a bunch of tiny flowers. Each petal that you see is its own flower with pollen and nectar to attract bees and butterflies. So if we look at this dandelion, each of these petals, so many of them, are their own little flower. So this dandelion has hundreds of flowers on it that bees love to find pollen on. All right, and the very last part of the dandelion. As the stem grows taller and taller and lifts the bud into the wind, when the bud opens at the end of its life, it has a fluffy white sphere called a seed head. And each seed has a tiny parachute on it called a pappus. And the parachuted seed can get carried on the wind for miles and miles, and then wherever it lands in the soil, it can grow as long as it has sun and water. The seed head is also sometimes called a blow ball or a parachute ball or a dandelion clock. And we know that you can blow the seeds off and make a wish. Here's, not many of the seeds are coming off this one. I think it's brand new, but here's one of the tiny little seeds with its little parachute top that helps it to fly. So that is our dandelion. And you can go into your yard, and your parents might not want to have dandelions in the yard, so you could help them to weed the yard and take the dandelions out and check them out. Check out their lion's teeth, jaggedy leaves. They're not sharp, but they look like they might be, don't they? You can open up some buds and see what's inside, what kind of pollen and seeds you might find. And you can look for its taproot. This is the one that's taproot fell off when I was getting it, but it was a big knob right here, and it went very long down into the dirt. So those are all fun things that you can do with your dandelions. Now, I learned a little dandelion song to sing to you guys today, and it was written by a woman who lives in Washington, and she tells a little bit of history with this song. You'll hear in the middle that I talk about a woman named Kathy Maynard. Kathy Maynard used to live on the other side of the country, and she came with her husband, who was a doctor. His name was Doc Maynard, and they came to Washington in the 1800s. That was hundreds of years ago. And when they came, they brought dandelion seeds with them because they knew that dandelions were good for people, that drinking tea made from dandelions helped people's stomachs and things like that. And so she brought it to turn it into medicine. And back then, doctors made different kinds of medicines from plants and things to help their patients. And Kathy Maynard brought the dandelion to Washington. And so this song thanks her a little bit for bringing dandelions to Washington. All right, are you guys ready to hear it? I've just learned it, so bear with me. Hopefully I can remember the whole tune. Okay, here we go. Well, flowers come in green and pink and red, and they sleep all day in their little flower beds. But the little dandelion grows wild and free with her uncles and her cousins and the whole family. Dandy, 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 dandelion, there's something pretty dandy about you. Dandy, 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 dandelion, I wish that there were more of you. First I make a wish, then I blow real hard, and the little dandelions blow all over the yard. I wait and I hope for my wish to come true, 'cause there's only so much a dandelion can do. Dandy, 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 dandelion, there's something pretty dandy about you. Dandy, 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 dandelion, I wish that there were more of you. Now in 1800 things were bleak and bare, not a little dandelion was anywhere. But Kathy Maynard knew that dandelions cure, so she brought them to Washington, and we thank her. Dandy, 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 dandelion, there's something pretty dandy about you. Dandy, 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 dandelion, I wish that there were more of you. And that is our dandelion song. I'm going to send along a little link for you so that you can listen to that song also if you would like to practice it at home. All right, now I'm going to go get a story that I'd like to read just to wrap up, because I love to end my meetings with a story, and then we'll say our goodbyes. All right, guys, I'm back. I put my dandelions away, and I got this book to read to you, which is one of my favorites, called Everybody Needs a Rock. And it's by Bird Baylor with pictures by Peter Pernall. Now, if you have a special rock in your house, or even just a rock you've collected on a walk, I want you to pause the video and go get your rock right now so that you can hold it while you listen to this story. And if you don't have a rock, this book is going to share with us how we can find a special rock. And so maybe you can go on a walk and find one later. I brought my rock. It's kind of reddish and a little shiny with some lines in it. And I'm going to keep it with me while I read this book to you. Everybody needs a rock. Everybody needs a rock. I'm sorry for kids who don't have a rock for a friend. I'm sorry for kids who only have tricycles, bicycles, horses, elephants, goldfish, 3-room playhouses, fire engines, wind-up dragons, and things like that, if they don't have a rock for a friend. That's why I'm giving them my own 10 rules for finding a rock. Not just any rock. I mean a special rock that you find yourself and keep as long as you can, maybe forever. If somebody says, "What's so special about that rock?" don't even tell them. I don't. Nobody's supposed to know what's special about another person's rock. All right, here are the rules. Rule number 1. If you can, go to a mountain made of nothing but 100 million small, shiny, beautiful, round rocks. But if you can't, any place will do, even an alley, even a sandy road. Rule number 2. When you are looking at rocks, don't let mothers or fathers or sisters or brothers or even best friends talk to you. You should choose a rock when everything is quiet. Don't let dogs bark at you or bees buzz at you, but if they do, don't worry. The worst thing you can do is go rock hunting when you're feeling worried. Rule number 3. Bend over. More. Even more. You may have to sit on the ground with your head almost touching the earth. You have to look a rock right in the eye. Otherwise, don't blame me if you can't find a good one. Rule number 4. Don't get a rock that is too big. You'll always be sorry. It won't fit your hand right, and it won't fit in your pocket. A rock as big as an apple is too big. A rock as big as a horse is way too big. Rule number 5. Don't choose a rock that is too small. It will only be easy to lose, or a mouse might eat it, thinking that it's a seed. Believe me, that happened to a boy in the state of Arizona. Rule number 6. The size must be perfect. It has to feel easy in your hand when you close your fingers over it. It has to feel jumpy in your pocket when you run. Some people touch a rock 1,000 times a day. There aren't many things that feel as good as a rock if the rock is perfect. Rule number 7. Look for the perfect color. That could be a sort of pinkish gray with bits of silvery shine in it. Some rocks that look brown are really other colors, but you only see them when you squint and when the sun is right. Another way to see colors is to dip your rock in a clear mountain stream, or a cup of water, if a mountain stream isn't passing by. Rule number 8. The shape of the rock is up to you. There's a girl in Alaska who only likes flat rocks. Don't ask me why. I like them lumpy. The thing to remember about shapes is this. Any rock looks good with 100 other rocks around it on a hill, but if your rock is going to look special, it should look good by itself in the bathtub. Rule number 9. Always sniff a rock. Rocks have their own smells. Some kids can tell by sniffing whether a rock came from the middle of the earth, or from an ocean, or from a mountain where wind and sun touched it every day for 1,000,000 years. You'll find out that grown-ups can't tell these things. Too bad for them. They just can't smell as well as kids can. Rule number 10. Don't ask anybody to help you choose. I've seen a lizard pick one rock out of a desert full of rocks and go sit there alone. I've seen a snail pass up 20 rocks and spend all day getting to the one it wanted. You have to make up your own mind. You'll know. All right, that's 10 rules. If you think of any more, write them down yourself. I'm going out to play a game that takes just me and one rock to play. I happen to have a rock here in my hand. I know that rocks have always been a fun thing for me to collect, and I hope that you guys enjoy collecting rocks too, and maybe you'll find one that's extra special on your walk. And I don't know, I can't smell much from my rock, but maybe that's just a superpower that you guys have. All right, I hope you have fun finding rocks today and finding dandelions and having some time with your family. And I love you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye.